Mr. Chairman. I do agree with the comments you made on cyber and some of the other things, so I won't address that. But I am really concerned, I think, as everyone is up here, about our national security. 2 weeks ago, I returned from a trip through Africa, Afghanistan, South Asia, Europe, and it was clear from talking to the troops, the diplomats, the foreign partners, that the global security environment is more precarious and complex as any time the memory of and growing more dangerous every day. Director Clapper, you stated last year before Congress, and I have quoted this several times, quote, "In almost 50 years in intelligence, I don't remember when we've had a more diverse array of threats and crisis situations around the world to deal with," unquote. And based on what we've seen since then, I think you're exactly right. The reality is that our national security is worse off today than it was 10 years ago. Around the world, as American leadership and military capabilities decline, we're seeing the threats to our security rise. From the Middle East to Africa to East Asia, our allies don't trust us and our enemies don't fear us. In Iran, in recent interim agreement has done nothing to stop the regime's enrichment activities. And in fact, I wanted to submit for the record, this is a Reuters article that was just yesterday talking about how Iran's military successfully test-fired 2 new domestically made missiles, the defense minister said on Monday, according to, that's yesterday, to state television. Brigadier General Hussein Dakan said one of them was a long-range ballistic missile with radar-evading capabilities. It goes on and on to talk about what they're doing. So they're not really hiding that at all. Let me remind our colleagues that our intelligence reports continue to say that Iran will have this capability. By capability, I mean the weapon and the delivery system as early as 2015, less than a year away. Further, administration continues its head-in-the-sand approach to terrorism by pushing the false narrative that Al-Qaeda is on the ropes and on the run. The facts on the ground don't tell that story. The reality is that Al-Qaeda now operates in more countries and more territory than ever before and poses a greater threat to American interests. In the Asia-Pacific, our vaunted strategic rebalance is being undermined by massive budget cuts at a time when our security interests in the region have never been more pronounced. China's military buildup continues to dominate the region, the dynamics, as our chairman just stated. North Korea is continuing its long history of erratic and reckless behavior, threatening stability on the Korean Peninsula and the broader region. Just last week, we learned that North Korea has restarted enrichment activities at some of its nuclear facilities and is pushing forward with the development of a road mobile missile system. And of course, they admit this. In the face of all of this, we're forcing our military, the backbone of our nation's security, to endure a steep and damaging drop in capabilities and readiness. Drastic budget cuts, some of the $487 billion over the last 5 years have resulted in our naval fleet falling to a historic low level of ships, Air Force being the smallest in history, and potentially shrinking the Army to a force not seen since the beginning of the 20th century. Readiness is plummeting, and commanders now use the term hollow to define the ability of their forces to defend the United States. In recent guidance issued to the services, the Secretary of Defense even acknowledged this stark reality and wrote, quote, "Near-term hollowness is acceptable, but the force must be balanced at end state." And this is deeply concerning to me. It's an admission, given that the threats we face aren't likely to wait until our forces is rebuilt at some future, at some time in the future. So without meaningful sequester relief to reverse these reckless national security cuts, our military will accept a greater risk. When you talk about greater risk, you're talking about loss of lives. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.